accumulation of time, it lives in a perpetual present.
Mm.
I was just wondering if you could kind of elaborate on that idea of perpetual present and what it means to you.
Yeah, it's not an easy question, but it's a good question. And to begin with, I did not invent that idea myself. That was Baudrillard, the French philosopher's idea. And so, well, duck the question, or duck the origin. And we all know that in America, we don't emphasize the idea of history. We emphasize the idea of progress more than we emphasize the idea of history. And that's basically, it's a simple attitude. You know, like the Chinese or the Greeks, they share similar traits. And if you talk to the Greek people, they always say, everything invented by Greeks. And the Chinese tend to do that too. And so why they do that? Oh, part of it is their egotism, because they want to be the best in the world, which every nation does, every people does. But for those longer history people, and they tended to do a little more. And so, if you go that way, you look at, you know, the Indians, the Hindus, the Chinese, the Greeks, and all those relatively older cultural civilizations, they hang on their histories. That's a part of the thing. I mean, you can't do it without a history. And so from that perspective, then you compare a country like America. How much we put on the emphasis on history? We don't really do that. But of course we say, how about Lincoln or Washington or, esteemed presidents? That's not the concept of a history that we normally talk about. So from this perspective, we only look forward. So as Americans, that symbolize the modernity of our world today. So what do? We put emphasis in future, so we look forward. So we don't want to look at the backwards. But the people like the Chinese or Greeks, particularly the Chinese, I know them a little better. They always want to go back to history. Every single time they say something, well, in our history, this is what happened. And so from that sense, then America does not indulge into past, only looking forward. And the Chinese relative. I use those terms because I know a little better. And so the Chinese are always trying to go back. So if you look at this way, then what happens here is this. You think about your personal experience as a human being. Can you always, all day long, think about the future? I mean, you look at it, what are you doing now? Then you think, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do this. In 2 years, I'll become like that. In 30 years, I'm going to become that. Yeah, you only do that probably not even half time. And the other time, you think about the past. I mean, you think about what happened. You know, last year, this happened to me. Yesterday, this happened to me. Or worse, well, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, I can't get over this thing. I'm very upset because all that is in the past. So as a human being, you cannot live on with the past. That's the only truth. However, if you dwell on the past, then you're in trouble too. Because all you want to do is go back to where you were. You got this really beautiful thing in the past, whether it's a human being or a thing. And as long as it's disappeared, you can't have it. So if you hold on to that, then you're not going to be able to make any progress. But on the other hand, you completely cut that off. You think the future is great, everything's going to be good. No matter who I was, and I am who I am today, I will go forward. And things are going to happen to me, things are going to be better. So this is just two kinds of views. And I think as far as Baudrillard, he's trying to say is that America, as a country, America as people are leaning on the tendency that always look for the future, whereas other people, they may look for the past. So once this happens, that from the surface you look at it, oh, okay, you don't want to look at the origin. You only want to look at the future. But the problem with that if you become extreme on one way or the other way, it's become a problem because let's say if you only look at the future, all you think about the future, and very soon you will find out, if in a good term you're an ideologist, and in a bad sense you're delusional, because you live in a delusion. So I guess the Baudrillard's idea is, he didn't say this clearly, but its indication is that in some way Americans are a little more delusional than French. But of course he's not going to say that. But if you ask him, I think he will tell you that's how he thinks. So if you live in a delusion, what happens? Then you live in the perpetual presence, right? And you always sit there, oh, if I do this tomorrow, if I do this, I do this, and then what happens? You live this perpetual present because nothing happens, all in your mind, all in your life, everything's great, as long as you keep this sensation, this idea, and your life is good. And this is why people get in drugs, alcohol, because that supported this delusional view, and you wouldn't wake up. And I guess that's as far as I can say. But Baudrillard makes it very philosophical, but the philosophy always has to go back in life, that's the tied with the life. Otherwise, it becomes a delusion itself.